Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about the term global marketing, what it means. So all of you are in my course because you passed MRK460, which is the basic intro to marketing course, which is all about the 4 Ps: product, price, promotion, place. So what a global marketing course does is say, okay, here's the company. They have maxed out all the people that they could sell to in Canada. What they want to do is sell overseas, right? So it's the difference between market development and market penetration. So basically what they want to do is figure out, okay, so you take product, for example. What do they have to do about their product to change it to make it fit the overseas customers? How is their target market segment overseas different or the same as it is in Canada? Pricing. Are you going to have to charge a little bit more for your product because of shipping? Or are you going to have to figure out how to make it cheaper because of the competitive environment overseas, right? So you got product, price, promotion. What kind of promotion are you going to use? Are you going to use celebrities? Are you going to use people from that culture? Are you going to use people who are sports stars or things like that? You have to think about all the different parts of the promotional mix: personal selling, mass selling, viral marketing, all those kinds of things, right? And then place. Are you going to sell from a whole bunch of little stores or one central store? Are you going to sell online or so on? Well, you get away from the legs of the tripod. Okay. Rangers, behave yourself. Okay. So that's what you have to do. So basically what you think about is the company that you pick. Let's say it's Canada Goose, right? Canada Goose sold fine for several years in Canada, and then they said to themselves, well, gee, we have to grow big or stay at home. We have to decide what we're going to do in the rest of the world. What are some places that we can go to? Now, one of the ways to find out information about this is very simple. Just go to Google and type in Google News, and then type in the company that you're doing in the bar. And what will happen is Google will search for all the recent news stories about the company. And here's why you want to look at news stories. News stories usually talk about a company because it either did something really good that's worth mentioning, or it did something really bad and made a mistake, a shareholder upset, or the stock price went down, or so on. So those are 2 reasons why you find a company in the news: because it did something good or it did something bad. Both of those things are very useful to talk about in terms of a project that you're doing in class for a course on global marketing. So that's the one thing you should do. Second thing I told you about before, it was the way you find information about a company and its activities is to look through the documents, such as the annual general meetings report or speeches that the company president give or vice president. Remember I told you how to scroll down on the main page at the very, very bottom when it says things like investors report or press releases or so on? You go in there and you find that there's a speech given by the president in 3rd week of January 2020 talking about their future upcoming joint venture, etc. That's a great way to find information. Now, volume and quantity. People always say, well, how much do you have to do? Well, I hate saying a number like 15 or 25 or 3 or 4 or something like that, because it sounds kind of stupid, right? Because you just go to that number. But when you think about it, there's 4 people in the group or 5 people in the group. If each person produces 2 or 3 pages, which is perfectly reasonable, you're going to end up with 3 times 5, which is 15 pages easy. You add in a bunch of diagrams and maps and charts, maybe the map of the world showing where the company operates, and a couple of pictures of what the product looks like, and it's easy to get to 20 pages. But I don't want you to think it has to be 20 pages. I want you to think about things you say which are useful and interesting, so that another person reading this, another student, could go, gee, I didn't know Bombardier did too many things. And the reason why you're doing it this way, with this in mind, is you're thinking about grizzly bear stories, right? You're thinking about things that you can say about what the company did to either overcome some obstacle or develop a new brand or create a new type of version of a product which allowed it to be more competitive. And then by knowing these stories, by looking at the other person's projects, you yourself as a marketing person will build up knowledge that allow you to solve problems in the future. So when someone comes to you and says, oh, well, we're a clothing company and we have this problem, and you can say, well, I remember in 2020 we had a marketing course at Seneca, and our prof told us to read this other report that a group had done about Canada Goose. Well, here's what Canada Goose did. Or you may say, yeah, I remember being in our 4th year class, and there was a company that did a presentation on Bombardier or Magna Auto Parts, and I learned that Magna Auto Parts did something, something, something. So that's the reason why it's useful to have this as a video, so that other people in the class can see it. I cannot emphasize that strongly enough. You're not doing it in a video just for the sake of doing it as a video. You're doing it so other people can see what you got. Now, when you think about that, don't list too many things. Just list a few things. Because you remember at the end of a class when I ask you, did you learn something useful and interesting? We go down the class list. By the time I've gone through 10 or 12 names, you start to repeat yourself, right? That's why I always make sure that you think about how useful or interesting the points are that you collected, and can they actually be absorbed by somebody and then remember them. So that's the big thing to keep in mind. At the very, very end, you're going to say to yourself, okay, we went through all this shit right here. What did we discover that was useful or interesting that other students could learn about and find that good thing to remember? That's the bottom line, and you'll get an A if you do that. Hope that's useful.